Hello guys, it's Teenage DC Fan back in another video. And after taking a brief break, the CW's Flash returned with one banger of an episode. So we got some surprise returns, some killer super speed set pieces, and a deliciously evil twist to wrap it all up. So just a quick warning, there are spoilers ahead in this video for The Death of the Speed Force, the latest episode of The Flash, which aired Tuesday, March 10th, 2020. So Barry and the rest of the Paragons did whatever it took to save the universe back in Crisis on Infinite Earths. And it seems Oliver Queen wasn't the only major casualty of the epic crossover, because we finally learned the consequences of Barry tapping into the Spectre's power to access the Speed Force. And it seems when Barry tapped into that power and allowed it to access the Speed Force, the super fast force was poisoned, seemingly for good. But it's not Barry who figures this out, it's the other Flash, Wally West, Kid Flash, who has spent his time since leaving the Wave Rider on Legends of Tomorrow, to try and find himself by using meditation to balance out his abilities. And the time away has done wonders, because the Wally who returns to Central City is a brand new man. Like, you can't really even call him Kid Flash anymore. Just call him the Flash, because he's not a kid anymore. Because now he's in touch with his emotions. He arguably has a better grasp of the Speed Force than even Barry himself. So, call Wally the Flash and call Barry Kid Flash. Like, really? Because he's really clearly a true hero in his own right. All the bad news notwithstanding, getting to catch up with Wally was a true highlight. And he shows his growth from the jump, flying into the city during the cold open to stop a helicopter crash before Barry even realizes it's happening, pulling out the passengers and literally disassembling the chopper piece by piece before it can crash. And, on a CW budget, it was a heck of a set piece to show those super speed powers at work. And after a bit of push and pull between Barry and Wally, with Wally understandably frustrated that Barry sensed there could be issues with the Speed Force, and didn't bother to check into it, or alert Wally to the possible issues, Wally makes some good points, and though they eventually realize it was Barry's decision to save the universe that caused the problem, his anger makes sense. Of course, Wally is quick to note he'd made the same call in the situation, and now that the damage is done, they have to figure out what comes next. And they apparently have a bit of residual Speed Force left in them for now, but when it's gone, presumably as a few weeks go on, it'll get all used up, and they're back to regular speed for good, permanently. So Barry gets one possibly last face-to-face with the Speed Force, which is still using the image of his mother to communicate. And she certainly seems to be in bad shape, but forgives Barry for his decision, and her final words are that she loves him, no matter what. As for Wally, he notes this will seemingly drastically alter the future he's glimpsed, where generations of speedsters take their place, including Nora, in the decades to come. And with the Speed Force gone, those future heroes will never be called upon to take up their mantles. But by episode's end, Barry comes up with a solution. Much like the Reverse Flash created his own artificial version of a Speed Force, Barry hopes he'll be able to do the same thing to retain his speed. And it's a risky move, but hey, it should make for some killer TV. So, the Metahuman of the Week case also makes for a solid parallel to the Speed Force situation. The team is dealing with Turtle 2.0, a metahuman who can trap people in what basically amounts to time dilation bubbles. So she can speed time up, slow it down inside the bubble, and effectively killing people with old age or leaving them frozen in place at her will. and Barry and Wally manage to stop her by speeding her up, with an assist from Joe, of course, but still a timely case. And that's already plenty, but the biggest twist was saved for last. Eobard Thawne, aka the Reverse Flash, is back. It turns out those strange visions Nash has been seeing were actually Thawne making a play to seemingly take over his body. And he manages to do just that by the episode's end, and nearly kills Cisco before he's tased by Cecile and captured by Team Flash, because he's in Nash's body, so he doesn't have his powers. And then he gets tucked away in the pipeline, but he's just as menacing and fantastically evil as ever, spouting on about killing Barry's family and slitting his throat. So, just a few other things that happen in this episode. Cisco is back. So after spending a few episodes off traveling the world to try and chronicle how Crisis changed everything, he's back with a big old notebook full of bad guy baseball cards, which honestly I would love to have. And he brings plenty of Easter eggs with him, most notable that he's visited Atlantis, which exists in Earth Prime now. So maybe we'll see Aquaman show up at some point. Probably not, because he's pretty popular in the movies. But Cisco is also dealing with the question that pushed him to leave in the first place. Cisco wants to grow and change. He'd hoped the trip would do that and he would return as a new man. But instead, he feels stuck back in the same place. Is Cisco outgrowing Team Flash? Is that what brings Chester into the fold full-time next season? Because it was recently confirmed that Chester will become a series regular for Season 7. And he's basically Cisco. So is Cisco leaving the show? Also, finally, Mirror Iris, or Reflection Iris as I like to call her, also remains an issue, though no one has actually figured it out yet, except for maybe Wally, but, he kind of left in this episode. Because thanks to his new Zen balance, he senses something is off with his sister and warns Joe to keep an eye on her. Of course, the real Iris is still trapped in the mirror dimension, though she'll apparently be getting some company. Because Camilla takes a picture of Iris and figures out she's not who she claimed to be. Iris shows up as a crazy mirror body in the shot when she turns on the thermal camera mode or whatever it is. So when she sees that, Iris is standing behind her, and then that's when she realizes, oh, this isn't Iris. So then Iris shoots her with the mirror gun, presumably sending Camilla into the mirror dimension. Or could have possibly killed her. We're kind of left hanging with no answer, though that'd admittedly be a terrible send-off for Cisco's new love. I mean, she was just introduced at the end of last season, or like halfway through last season. So kill her off already. But next week, it seems we won't have to wait long for some classic Barry versus Thawne action. And it's an oldie for sure, but it's definitely still a goodie. So can they save Nash? Can Barry save his speed? But there are plenty of questions left here, namely exactly how Thawne is here and still alive. But hey, Crisis changed everything, and apparently that includes Thawne's fate. And he's also where the Speed Force is on its last legs, and is just biding his time until he's the only unchallenged speedster left. So, this was a really good episode, and I'm looking forward to next episode with Reverse Flash being a main villain again. So, let me know your thoughts on this episode down in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And hope to see you in the next video, so I can bestow all my decent knowledge upon you.